So 2 days ago, we racked our wine. We added potassium metabisulfite as well as we degassed the wine. We're now ready for the clarification stage of winemaking. And we'll be adding a few different things. Actually, the balance of whatever you have with your wine kit is going to be going into the wine today. So the first thing will be potassium sorbate. We'll be adding our fruit flavor pack, okay, which is the black cherry, as well as Cheetosm, which is a fining agent. Okay, so let's get started here. So the first thing we're going to be adding is potassium sorbate. And this is a very critical additive to put into your wine, especially with a wine like this, because we're going to be sweetening it. Potassium sorbate, or it's often called wine stabilizer, will prevent fermentation from starting again. You cannot stop fermentation, you can only prevent it from starting again. And we definitely want to add it to this particular wine because this is basically a sugar pack. And if we were to add it without the potassium sorbate, this would start fermenting again. Okay, so let's add it. If we look at the instructions, they just simply want us to add this to a half a cup of warm water, dissolve it, and then put it into the wine and stir it. Okay, all right, so let's add the potassium sorbate. So we'll grab a measuring cup, and we're sterilant, because of course we are going to sterilize the equipment. And a quick rinse. And again, a half a cup of warm water. Nice warm water. We'll pull our wine out. Take the bung off. And at this point we're going to have to grab our long spoon because we're going to be stirring it into the wine. And we'll be using the smaller end of the mixing spoon. Quick rinse. Just mix it up in here a little bit. And then we just add this to the wine. And just a gentle stir. I like to stir it for probably about 30 seconds to make sure it's well stirred into the wine. Potassium sorbate into the wine. We can now safely add the sweetener and fruit flavor and be confident that we're not going to have any re-fermentation starting. So let's clean this up a bit. Cloth. Dry it off. We're going to opt for a bigger measuring cup right now. This step here, we're going to be adding the fruit flavor, the ad pack. And the hardest thing about this is knowing whether this will fit into this without coming over the top. So what we'll do is, much like it says in the instructions, I always take a little bit more out. It says to siphon off a liter of wine, so you do have enough room to mix this in. So there's a couple of different ways you could take a liter of wine out. One way would be use your racking tube and hose and just siphon out a liter. I'm going to actually opt to use my wine thief. Okay, we can take out, portions at a time, and we'll eventually get a liter of wine out of the bottle. Okay, so let's get this into the sterilizing. Grab our spoon and rinse it off. We will be using this later. I'm just going to use this to sterilize my measuring cup. A couple of them. ready with that. Give this a quick rinse. And now we can start stealing some wine out of the carboy. I probably already have more than a liter out of here, but I just want to make sure because I have overflowed carboys before doing this. And it can be messy. One. And that's roughly a liter of wine out of the carboy. Just get this put out of the way, rinse off our wine thief. And we're done with this for the day. So we're ready to put it in. This is a very thick liquid. And it's extremely sticky, so be careful. Okay, so there it goes. And you can just smell the black cherry. Very strong. Squeezed out as much of the juice as I can. And what I'm going to do just to help rinse the bag is use some of the wine that we poured out or brought out. Pour that into the bag. Just shake it up a little bit. And that should get the rest of the black cherry flavor out of it. Beautiful. Cap this up. Wash my hands. I got a little bit on me. And we can now add the wine that's left over. And give this a really good stir. Stir it in well enough. Get rid of this right away. This is really important to clean right away because it's very, very sticky. And unless you get to it immediately, it's very hard to get off. Last step today is adding the ketosine. It's made from crab and shrimp, if you can believe it. And what we'll do is pour it into the carboy, mix it in really well. And then within the next 10 days, you'll see a huge difference in the clarity of the wine. Because we added, I don't know if you remember, we added bentonite at the first step when we first put our wine kit on. Those two will act together to drop all the contaminants out of the wine. So this here is very simple. You just simply pour it in and mix it in. And we have lots of room, okay? We're not going to overflow it all. Grab our spoon. Give her a good mix. A lot of mixing in winemaking. And there we are done. So we can pop our bung and airlock back on. Just rinse off the bung. It's all sterile already. And there it sits. Now this stage is critical that you do not disturb the carboy, because we are going to be racking it one more time before we filter the wine. And there will be a lot of contaminants dropped out of the wine. So make sure you do put it in a place where it's not going to be disturbed. And if it takes, up to 2 weeks, that's fine. But we'll probably see a big difference within the next 7 to 10 days. So that's it for today. In a couple of weeks, we're going to have a nice clear wine. You'll see some sediment at the bottom. And we'll be racking it one more time, as well as filtering. So join us with the next installment of Steiners Winemaking 101 video series coming up.